I thought this was just after the awesome comics by the absurd Rob Liefeld, because Don Belliup, and I'd been enjoying some of the work that I'd done there, and I'd been working with a lot of people who were friends of mine, with Melinda, with Rick Beach, with Jim Bakey, and I knew that times were fairly lean in the comics industry back then, and I wanted to give these people more work. So I thought, yeah, what I'll do is I'll come up with my ideal line of contemporary comics. What I would like to see comics being. And I happened to find in an old workbook, but one night before I went to bed, I must have written down just a load of names that had occurred to me. And there was Top 10, Promethea, Jack B. Quick, Tom Strong, and a couple of others. And I thought, yeah, these sound like good names. Let's use this as the basis for this line of books. And when I got around to doing Tom Strong, I thought, I don't want to do superhero comics. Or if they resemble superhero comics, I want them to be based upon a different premise. So with both Promethea and Tom Strong, which turned out to be very different books, but I was actually looking at the original origins of the comic book superheroes, which was in the pulp magazines. The pulp magazines of the 20s and the 30s. That was where most of the heroic archetypes, people like Doc Savage or the Shadow, first appeared. So I thought, all right, if we roll the tape back, forget everything that's ever happened in superhero comics, just roll it back to that point, and then play it forward in a slightly different direction and see what happens. So when I was putting together Tom Strong, I thought, I want to do a comic that is what I think superhero comics should be. Remember, I've never actually much liked superheroes. My early work in them, it's largely about trying to destroy them. Things like Marvel Man, Watchmen, these are not really they weren't meant to be things that revitalised the superhero, quite the opposite. You know, I was thinking, well, if I expose all of the flaws in the concept in an interesting way, then people will have to revise the idea. But no, that wasn't how it worked out, and we got instead a lot of people doing really grim stories based upon characters that were, as I said earlier, designed for the 9-year-old children of the 1960s, that were never meant to carry that sort of grim baggage. And yes, I know I did The Killing Joke. Although Brian Barnes' artwork's wonderful, I think that is one of the worst things I've ever written. Batman was never meant to carry that sort of grim weight. And I got quite distressed that after Watchmen, nobody had taken up the challenge of... I mean, I'd seen Watchmen, I thought, this is an important comic because of the storytelling devices that we've come up with. That is the only thing that's important about it. It's not that it's a darker view of superheroes. I'd already done Marvel Man by that point. That wasn't the main point. It was just how to tell the story in a way that no one's done it before. But the things that the rest of the creative community seemed to take from Watchmen, they didn't take any of the admittedly difficult storytelling stuff. They largely thought, oh right, we can be more violent, we can be more miserable, we can be more pretentious, we can have more sex. Or Vertigo comics, I suppose, to sort of to basically sum up that philosophy. Now, there were some good people who worked for Vertigo comics, but there were also a lot of people who they'd been instructed, more or less, to write in a kind of an Alan Moore sort of, with an Alan Moore feel to it, in as many words, most of them. You know, this was just when they realised that they'd in fact lost me as a contributor, because this was just after Watchmen, and I just said that no, I won't be working for you again. So a lot of bad things had happened to the superhero. Batman was no longer your jolly uncle who dresses up as a bat. And I felt partly guilty because of that. So with Tom Strong, what I thought was, all right, let's see if we can come up with a character that will still appeal to 11-year-old boys or 13-year-old boys. And it did. And yet will be intelligent and fun enough for older readers to relate to as well. And I'm really pleased. I was reading through some of those Tom Strong stories, and I'm really pleased at the level of invention that we kept up. And, you know, I'm not... All right, I suppose I am a bit dark and gothic and miserable, you know, sometimes, aren't we all? And, I mean, yeah, coming from Northampton doesn't really help. I mean, Northampton is actually where the whole Gothic movement got started. I only found this out the other day. James Hervey, he was an 18th century preacher